My name is Sophia, 28 years old. I remind myself of that, my age, my autonomy, my adulthood, every time the phone buzzes with my mother's name, and it buzzes again now, rattling against the coffee table like it's trying to sprint away. 2 weeks before my wedding, Evelyn Mercer hasn't missed a single day of summoning me with some new urgent matter, and each call feels like being yanked backward into an old version of myself I worked years to outgrow. I let the phone ring 3 times before answering. I inhale through my nose, bracing like someone preparing to dive underwater. Hi, Mom. Sophia. Her voice bursts through the speaker, falsely bright, the kind of brightness she uses before a demand. You need to come over right away. Your sister needs to talk to you about something important for the wedding. My stomach tightens so fast it's almost painful. Can't you just call me? I have final dress alterations in 2 hours. This isn't something that can be discussed over the phone, she says, her tone sharpening, like a door clicking shut. Maren has been working on a surprise for you. You'll want to see it in person. A surprise from Maren. Those words have never meant anything good in my life. I close my eyes. I can already feel Troy's voice whispering in my head. You don't have to say yes to everything, Sophia, but fighting my family has always felt like fighting quicksand. The more you resist, the deeper you sink. Fine, I'll be there in 30 minutes. The drive to my parents' house is almost muscle memory. Portland rain blurs across the windshield in thin, diagonal streaks, the kind that distort the world just enough to make everything feel slightly unreal. My hands tighten around the steering wheel as I rehearse polite responses, ways to blunt whatever blow is waiting without setting off an explosion. Something pricks at me, a quiet sense of dread that feels older than I am. When I pull into the driveway, I notice my father's car is home too. Strange for a Tuesday morning. The knot in my stomach twists tighter. Mom opens the door before I knock. She's practically vibrating with excitement, the kind she only gets when something is about to happen to me, not for me. Perfect timing. Come in, come in. The house smells like chocolate cake. Maren's favorite? Not mine. Some things never change. Where's Maren? I ask, following her down the hallway toward the living room. Just wait, Mom says, lowering her voice theatrically. Close your eyes. I don't. I never have. Obedience is not the same thing as blindness. I take one more step and freeze. Maren is standing on a small footstool in front of the mirror, wearing a floor-length white gown with delicate beading and a sweetheart neckline. Not a bridesmaid dress. Not even close. A wedding dress. Mom clasps her hands dramatically. Doesn't your sister look beautiful? This is perfect for leading you down the aisle. The room tilts slightly, like the air has shifted. Leading me down the aisle? My voice sounds distant, flattened. Maren turns, lips curling into the smile she uses when she's won a game I didn't know I was playing. Surprise? I don't understand, I manage. Mom steps forward quickly, words spilling out in a rush. Since your father is walking you down, we thought having Maren lead the procession in something special would be so meaningful. She's your big sister, after all. In a wedding dress? It comes out sharper than I intend, but the words are already slicing through the air. It's not technically a wedding dress, Maren chirps. It's just bridal adjacent. Dad is in the corner, staring at his shoes, like they're a fascinating archaeological discovery. He doesn't look at me. He never looks at me during moments like this. I think it's inappropriate, I say quietly, feeling my pulse in my throat. It looks exactly like a wedding dress. Mom's expression hardens instantly, the warmth disappearing, like someone blew out a candle. Maren deserves a special moment. She's been through so much emotionally. Ah, the familiar script. Maren deserves it. Maren needs. Maren, Maren, Maren. A memory flickers, the kind that's so old it's worn smooth. My 10th birthday, chocolate cake on the table, even after I specifically asked for strawberries. Just let your sister have this, Mom had said cheerfully. You're so easy to please. You'll eat anything. Another, bringing home straight A's and getting a $20 bill. The same week, Maren, with C's and D's, got a $150 shopping spree. Another, the sapphire necklace my grandmother gave me, disappearing from my jewelry box. Mom saying I must have lost it, then later finding it in Maren's pocket while doing laundry. Mom's response, stop trying to get your sister in trouble. 28 years of being told my discomfort is selfishness, my boundaries are cruelty, and my victories should be quiet so they don't overshadow Maren. And here we are again. It's not like anyone will be looking at you anyway, Maren adds, smoothing the white fabric over her hips. Troy's so handsome, everyone will be watching him. Her casual cruelty lands like a slap. Something inside me, something long compressed, shifts. I don't want you wearing white to my wedding, I say, slower this time, but clearer. My voice surprises even me. Mom's face colors with indignation. You've always been so selfish. Your sister just wants to share your special day. Dad still says nothing. My chest tightens with a familiar ache, the ache of being erased while still being expected to smile. My phone rings. Troy. The name appears like a lifeline. I need to take this, I say, stepping outside. My hands tremble as I swipe to answer. Hey, how's it going with the alterations? Troy asks, but something in my breathing must give me away. Sophia, what's wrong? The dam breaks. They want Maren to basically wear a wedding dress and lead me down the aisle. There's silence for 2 seconds, then firm, grounded, protective. I'm coming to get you. This ends now. No hesitation, no maybe compromise, just someone choosing me. I'll meet you at home, I whisper. By the time I return inside, a strange calm has settled over me, a thin layer of ice covering panic. 3 faces turn toward me. I need to think about this, I say. Mom blinks, startled by my lack of surrender. Well, we need to decide soon. The dress needs alterations. I'll call you tomorrow. Mom's voice follows me down the hallway. Don't worry, she'll give in. She always does. But as I slide into my car and drive away, tears streaming, something unbroken rises inside me. This time I won't give in. This time, everything changes. When I walk into my apartment, Troy is already there, standing in the middle of the living room, pacing like he's ready to fight the entire world on my behalf. He stops when he sees me. Tell me everything, he says softly. From the beginning. Troy doesn't rush me. He doesn't push or demand explanations. He steps close, places his hands on my arms, and waits. That alone cracks something open inside me, because in my family, silence was never space. Silence was punishment. But here, it feels like safety. I take a breath that trembles on its way out. It started with the dress, I whisper. But it's not just the dress. He nods, subtle, encouraging me with that quiet steadiness I've come to rely on. It's always been like this, I continue, sinking slowly onto the couch. Always. The words spill out like unraveling thread. I tell him about the chocolate cake on my 10th birthday, the stolen sapphire necklace, the shopping spree for Maren's failing grades. I tell him about my grandmother's gift, how Mom insisted I must have misplaced it, how she acted personally offended when I pointed out where it had ended up. And as I speak, memory after memory surfaces, some I haven't touched in years because touching them felt dangerous. There was the school play, I add suddenly. I was cast as the lead. At the last minute, Mom convinced the director to give Maren half my lines. To boost her confidence, she said. Everyone clapped for her afterward, and no one noticed I barely spoke. Troy's jaw tightens. Sophia. There was the high school awards ceremony, I continue. Dad took Maren out for ice cream to celebrate her participation certificate. He forgot my award entirely. I sat in the back seat while they talked about how proud they were of her. My voice dips. It was the first time I realized being invisible wasn't an accident. It was a role. Troy sits beside me now, but not touching. Not until I lean toward him first. When I do, he pulls me gently into his arms. What they've done to you, he says quietly, is psychological abuse. I flinch, not because he's wrong, but because a part of me has spent 28 years believing I should be grateful for crumbs. They're just a normal family with favorites, I say weakly. Everyone has issues. He pulls back just enough to look into my eyes. Sophia, normal families don't systematically sacrifice one child to prop up another. The truth hits harder than any insult my sister has ever thrown at me, harder than my mother's dismissive tone, harder than my father's silence. It hits because it finally has a name. Abuse. My breath shudders. I grip Troy's shirt to anchor myself, because if I don't hold on to something, I might float away. A knock at the door startles me. Troy squeezes my shoulder and goes to answer it. June bursts in, carrying 2 bags of takeout and a bottle of wine. Okay, she announces, stopping mid-step when she sees my expression. Oh, tell me everything. We sit around my small dining table, the 3 people who have consistently shown up for me without requiring anything in return. June cracks open the containers, and the smell of pad thai and basil chicken fills the room. She pours wine into mismatched glasses. Start from the top, she says. I'll yell on cue. I tell her about the dress. Her eyes widen. White? Floor length? Beading? Oh no, that girl did not try to cosplay bride number 2. I almost laugh, even though the ache in my chest is still raw. Troy gently interrupts. It's more than the dress. Yes, I echo quietly. It's everything. June listens as I recount each memory, the imbalance, the favoritism, the humiliation. At one point, she presses a napkin to her eyes. "You've always been the easy one," she murmurs, "and they've taken advantage of that." Troy pulls out his phone. "We need a plan." "Not revenge," I say quickly. "I don't want that." "Not revenge," he repeats. "Boundaries. Consequences." He dials someone and puts the call on speaker. "Hey," a deep voice says. "Caleb here." "Need your professional take," Troy says, security flavored. Caleb listens as Troy summarizes, then says with no hesitation, "This is predictable manipulation. People don't escalate out of nowhere. They escalate when their usual methods stop working. Expect pushback. Expect attempts to regain control." A chill runs down my spine. Caleb continues, "If they're planning stunts, dress code enforcement is your best tool. Hire security. Put it in writing. Make sure the venue knows exactly what to watch for." June grabs her phone. "Speaking of watching, let's look at Maren's messages." She scrolls through years of texts. Casual jabs. Digs disguised as humor. Insults wrapped in faux concern. "You always look tired." "That dress is cute, but maybe not for your body type." "Don't worry about me outshining you. It's your day." Each one feels like a stone dropped into a well. I open my laptop. The inbox loads slowly, as if bracing me. Then the emails appear. Subject: Special seating request. From Mom. To Wedding Planner. A request for Maren to sit right beside the bride during the ceremony for symbolic purposes. Symbolic of what? My erasure? Another email. Subject: Photography adjustments. Mom requesting a series of sister-centric photos during the vows. My chest tightens. It's like watching someone rewrite my wedding into a tribute to Maren. "I trusted her," I whisper. "I really thought maybe, just once." June puts a hand over mine. "They know exactly what they're doing." The room goes silent for a moment. Then I reach for my phone. Uncle Mateo answers on the third ring. "Sophia, everything okay?" I tell him everything. My voice is steadier than I expect. His grows fiercer with every sentence, protective in a way I've never heard from my own father. "I've watched this for years," he says, "and if Jacob won't walk you down the aisle, I will, no hesitation." Tears prick my eyes. "Thank you." "Don't you thank me," he replies. "This is long overdue." When I hang up, the room feels different, like the air has shifted in my favor for the first time in decades. Troy spreads new documents across the table, contracts from Caleb. Security, dress code clauses, entry restrictions, everything spelled out. "Is this overkill?" I ask. "No," June says firmly. "It's the bare minimum." They both look at me. "What do you want, Sophia?" Troy asks. No one has ever asked me that without judgment. "I want a wedding that isn't about Maren," I say. "And you'll have that," he promises. The first step, I change my phone settings, sending family calls directly to voicemail. The silence that follows is not punishment. It's peace. Later, when everyone leaves, I stand in the doorway of my bedroom and watch Troy putting away the takeout boxes. My voice is soft but certain. "Thank you for believing me." He walks over, cups my face in his hands. Always. That night, for the first time in weeks, I sleep without dreaming of white dresses or my mother's voice. Instead, I dream of a door closing gently behind me and another opening ahead. The next morning, my phone is vibrating nonstop on the nightstand. Buzz after buzz after buzz, like a hornet trapped under glass. 14 missed calls from Mom, 8 from Maren. A single text from Dad. "Your mother is very upset. Call her." I stare at the screen without touching it, the way someone might stare at a venomous snake. Troy is still asleep beside me, one arm draped over my waist, his breathing steady. For a moment, I let myself exist in the quiet, in the safety. But the phone buzzes again, a voicemail notification. I slip from the bed as gently as possible so I don't wake Troy and retreat into the bathroom. The cold tiles ground me. I hit play. "Sophia, honey," Mom begins, her voice dripping with manufactured sweetness. "I know you're upset, but you're overreacting. It's just a dress. Call me back." I play the next one, recorded 3 hours later. Her tone has sharpened. "This silent treatment is childish. We are trying to make your wedding special." The next, recorded last night, has no sweetness left at all. "You are ruining your relationship with your sister over nothing. After everything we've done for you." I stop listening. I delete them all. The familiar guilt stirs, an old reflex, but something stronger rises with it now. Anger. Clarity. A sense that the fog I've been living in has finally thinned enough for sunlight to slice through. A knock on the bathroom door makes me jump. "You okay?" Troy asks, his voice low with sleep. When I open the door, he reads the truth in my eyes immediately. He takes the phone from my hand, scrolls through the missed calls, the voicemails, the texts from Maren that say things like, "Why are you being cruel? You know I just want to be close to you." "My cousin Diane called last night while you were in the shower," he says. "I forgot to tell you." "What did she want?" "To warn you." He hesitates. "Your mother is telling everyone you're having some kind of nervous breakdown." My stomach twists. Of course she is. Troy kisses my forehead. "We're meeting the venue coordinator at 10. Want breakfast first?" I nod. He doesn't ask if I want to call them back. He doesn't suggest I'm being dramatic. He simply accepts my reality. It feels strange, and new, and right. Later, we drive to the venue, a restored garden estate with a panoramic view of Mount Hood. The morning light makes the roses glow. It should feel magical. Instead, my nerves flutter like trapped birds inside my chest. Brenda, the coordinator, greets us at the entrance with a brisk handshake. "So what can I help with today?" she asks, leading us to her office. Troy takes my hand. We anticipate that a few individuals might try to cause a disruption at our wedding. I brace for skepticism, for the tilted head, for the polite smile that says maybe you're exaggerating. But Brenda just nods knowingly. "Family?" I exhale in relief. "Yes." "Tell me what you're concerned about." I swallow. How do I condense 28 years of being minimized into a single sentence? How do I articulate the way Maren and Mom turn each milestone of my life into a stage for themselves? Troy helps. "We're concerned the bride's sister will attempt to attend in attire that could be mistaken for wedding wear. Again." Brenda's eyebrows rise. "Well, that's new, but not surprising." She pulls out our contract, uncaps a pen, and adds a handwritten clause. Any guest, besides the bride, attempting to enter in a wedding dress or bridal-style attire will be denied entry. "Initial here," she says, sliding the paper toward me. My signature feels like the first boundary I've ever put in writing. Brenda continues, "We'll add additional security at all entrances. I'll brief the entire staff." "And my mother?" I ask, my voice barely above a whisper. "Will she support this decision?" Brenda asks. I bark out a short, humorless laugh. "She's the one who suggested Maren wear white." Brenda does not look shocked. She simply adds another note to the file. "We'll be prepared." When we leave her office, my shoulders feel lighter, but there's a heaviness too. It's painful to put precautions in place for people who should have been protecting me. Back at home, a large box waits by the door. My wedding dress. June arrives moments later. Perfect timing, probably because Troy texted her. "You want to try it on?" she asks, eyes sparkling. I nod. In my bedroom, I step into the ivory gown. The fabric slides around me like water, the bodice fitting perfectly. The weight of it settles on my shoulders like armor. June zips it up, steps back, and covers her mouth with both hands. "Oh, Sophia," she breathes. "You look like everything finally aligns." I smooth the dress, suddenly self-conscious. "Is it okay?" "Okay?" She shakes her head, eyes shining. "It's breathtaking. You're breathtaking." Before I can reply, a sharp knock interrupts us. June helps me out of the dress quickly and hangs it carefully. We hurry into the living room. And freeze. My mother and Maren are standing inside my apartment. They didn't knock politely. They must have been let in by a neighbor or caught someone leaving. Mom stands with arms crossed, face drawn tight. Maren is behind her, eyes red and puffy, in a way that looks strategic, not genuine. "We were worried," Mom says immediately. "You're not answering our calls." She says it like I owe her access to my bloodstream. Maren sniffles. "I just wanted to be there for my little sister." The shift inside me is subtle but seismic. Something hardens. Something straightens. I no longer feel like a child being scolded. I feel like a woman reclaiming her life. "I've made my decision," I say. "You will not be wearing white to my wedding." Mom's face transforms, concern melting into indignation. "After everything we've done for you, this is how you repay us?" Before I can answer, Troy steps in from the hallway, freezing at the sight of them. He moves closer behind me, not touching, but present, solid, like a wall I never had as a child. Mom softens instantly when she sees him. "You know how emotional brides get," she coos. "Surely you understand." Troy looks at her with a calm that borders on cold. I understand perfectly. Maren steps forward. "If I can't wear what I want, I'm not coming." In the past, that threat would have crushed me. Now, that's your choice, I say quietly. Mom's mouth drops open. She recovers fast, grabbing her purse. "You'll regret this. When you've calmed down, call us." They leave, slamming the door hard enough to rattle the picture frames. The silence afterward feels massive. I collapse onto the couch. Troy sits beside me and pulls me into his arms as years, decades of grief spill out. My tears soak his shirt and he holds me tighter. Later that evening, my phone rings. Dad? Tentatively, I answer. Hi, Dad. His voice is strained. Your mother and sister are devastated. Can't you compromise? I close my eyes, feeling the final fracture. Dad, I've compromised my entire life, not my wedding day. A long silence, then a sigh. I'll talk to them. We both know he won't. I hang up and Troy holds me as I cry. Not just for my father, but for the version of him I kept hoping existed. Over the next few days, preparations continue. June and Caleb join every meeting, every vendor call, every walkthrough. I am no longer facing any of this alone. Then, 3 days before the wedding, another text comes from Dad. Your mother and sister are very hurt. I don't know if I can walk you down the aisle with all this tension. My hands shake, but I know what to do. I call Uncle Mateo. Will you walk me down the aisle? I ask. He doesn't hesitate. It would be my honor, Sophia. The night before the wedding, I lie awake beside Troy, staring at the ceiling. The thought hits me hard. Tomorrow might be the end of my relationship with my family. Strangely, the feeling is both grief and relief. The morning of the wedding arrives wrapped in a soft, pearly glow, the kind of light that makes everything look innocent, deceptively gentle. June is fastening the last pearl buttons on my dress in the bridal suite, her hands steady even though mine are trembling. You're radiant, she whispers. Radiant. I don't quite believe it yet. Inside, I feel like a mosaic of excitement, dread, hope, and grief, all glued together overnight. My phone sits face down on the vanity, vibrating occasionally like something alive and restless. But I don't touch it. Instead, I focus on the mirror. The woman staring back at me looks calm, composed, even confident. But her eyes give away the truth. 28 years of shrinking herself to keep the peace can't completely disappear in one morning. Everything okay? June asks. I nod. Just wedding day nerves. She squeezes my hands. You're stronger than you think. A soft knock on the door interrupts us. Caleb pokes his head inside. Security check, he says with a small smile. Guards are posted at all entrances. Everyone knows the dress code rule. Nobody in white gets through. Relief rushes through me, but it's tinged with sadness. No bride imagines needing security against her own family. Caleb steps back to let Uncle Mateo in. When he sees me, he stops mid-step. Oh, Sophia. His voice cracks. You look like your grandmother. Warmth floods my chest at the comparison. My grandmother had been the only person who ever made me feel fully seen as a child. You ready, sweetheart? He asks, offering a fatherly smile, even though the ceremony is still minutes away. As ready as I can be. The bridesmaids gather, fluttering around with hairspray and lip gloss and nerves. Troy's last text glows on my phone screen. Security confirms everything's in place. I love you. I'll be waiting. For the first time that morning, I breathe fully. We move through the hallway toward the anteroom beside the ceremony space. The garden outside is breathtaking. Climbing roses draping over the archway, chairs standing in perfect rows, white petals scattered like soft snow across the grass. The distant mountains look like they're standing guard over us. This should be the happiest moment of my life. Instead, a knot forms in my stomach, pulsing with the memory of my mother's warning. You'll regret this. I shake off the thought. June adjusts my veil one more time, smoothing the lace across my shoulders. Okay, she whispers. It's time. But before she can open the door, my phone rings. Dad? My mouth goes dry. I answer with trembling fingers. Dad? Sophia. His voice is strained, panicked. You need to come to the main entrance right now and handle this. Handle what? Maren, he snaps. She's wearing a white dress, and these men won't let her in. You're making the family look bad in front of everyone. The words shoulder their way into my chest like a familiar dagger. I whisper, Did you know she was planning this? His silence stretches long and heavy. Then he exhales. It's just a dress, Sophia. Something inside me breaks, cleanly, silently. The last thread of hope snaps so gently I almost don't feel it go. Goodbye, Dad, I say and end the call. My hand shakes as I set the phone down. June is beside me in an instant. What happened? I swallow, hard. I'm ready to walk in, I say, alone. Her eyes widen. Are you sure? I nod completely. She doesn't argue. She signals the musicians through the cracked door. The opening notes of Canon in D drift through the air, a soft, cleansing sound that almost steadies my pulse. June slips out to take her place at the front, leaving me alone for one final moment. I square my shoulders. The doors swing open. Every head turns toward me. Rows of faces, some familiar, some barely known, watch with expressions ranging from awe to sympathy to curiosity. I focus on the aisle, the soft crunch of petals under my shoes, the weight of my veil, the sound of my heartbeat thumping inside my ears. And then I see him, Troy, standing at the altar. His smile is so full of love it almost buckles my knees. I take my first step. Then, a scream tears through the air. A shrill, unmistakable voice filled with rage. Maren. Gasps ripple through the crowd. The music falters. I freeze mid-step, instinct screaming to brace myself. Behind me, through the open doorway, every guest can see it. Maren in a floor-length white wedding gown, hair curled and pinned like a bride, face twisted with fury as two security guards block her entrance. My mother stands beside her, shouting at the guards, her finger jabbing toward the venue like she owns it. My father hovers behind them, pale and silent. "Let me in!" Maren shrieks. "I told her I was wearing this." My mother yells, "We already explained this to the bride." There's a collective gasp at that. An accidental confession broadcast to 120 witnesses. Troy moves before I can register it. He and Caleb stride past me, heading for the entrance. One of the guards speaks calmly. "This guest is violating the dress code and may not enter." "She's family," Mom screams. Troy's voice slices through the chaos like ice, and she is trespassing. June hurries back to my side, slipping her arm around my waist. "Focus on me," she whispers. "On Troy. On your future." My breath trembles, but I nod. Then Uncle Mateo steps out from one of the rows and walks toward me slowly, his expression soft. "May I?" he asks, extending his arm. Emotion wells up, sharp and overwhelming. I take his arm. Whispers ripple through the crowd. Shock, sympathy, quiet outrage. But no one moves to support my family. Not one. We continue down the aisle, step by step, the music restarting behind us. As we approach the altar, Troy returns to his place, eyes locked on mine. When I reach him, he takes my hands and squeezes hard. He leans slightly toward the microphone. "Apologies for the disruption," he says calmly, his voice carrying through the garden. "The ceremony will continue as planned." The officiant clears his throat, clearly rattled, but begins. As we exchange vows, something shifts inside me. Every word feels like reclaiming something my family tried to take. When Troy kisses me, the crowd erupts, not just applause. Validation, support, witnessing. I walk back down the aisle with him, hand in hand, and notice the glaring absence where my mother, father, and sister should have stood. Empty chairs, empty space. Troy leans close, lips brushing my ear. It's our day now, exactly how we planned it. And for the first time in all this chaos, I smile without hesitation. The reception glows with amber light, strings of delicate bulbs casting warmth over the room. We enter to applause, but there is an undercurrent too, a shared acknowledgement among the guests. They saw everything. They understood. A woman I barely know, one of Troy's mother's friends, touches my arm softly. "You handled yourself with such grace," she whispers. Others echo similar sentiments. Each word feels like balm on skin rubbed raw. June and Caleb orbit around us like protective satellites, intercepting intrusive questions, redirecting conversations, absorbing the curious stares. Mateo blends seamlessly with Troy's family, telling fishing stories like he's belonged there forever. During toasts, Mateo raises his glass. "To finding the family you need," he says, eyes shining, whether by blood or by choice. The words hit me like a blessing. Later, when the father-daughter dance begins, a hush falls. Some guests glance around, unsure. Then Mateo steps forward. "May I have this dance?" he asks. Emotion swells in my chest. "Yes," I whisper. We dance slowly. He tells me about the science fair volcano I destroyed at 9, about how proud he was, about how much he wished he had spoken up sooner. Tears gather in my eyes. "You're here now," I say. And for the first time in my life, I feel the truth of that. Not the presence of someone who should have protected me, but someone who chose to. After the reception, most brides expect a blur of champagne, laughter, and dancing. I do get those things, but they sit atop a deeper tremor running through me, like aftershocks from an earthquake. As the final guests leave, June tucks my phone into her clutch and refuses to give it back. "You'll look when you're ready," she says, "not before." In the car, Troy drives with one hand on the wheel and one hand wrapped around mine, thumb tracing gentle circles. The quiet hum of the road feels oddly sacred. I don't realize how braced my body is, how tight my shoulders are, until he glances at me and says softly, "You can breathe now." I try. The breath shudders, but it comes. Our honeymoon suite takes my breath away when we walk in. Roses, candles, and soft lighting arranged by June and Caleb. It looks like the wedding of someone who knows she's loved. Someone who doesn't have to beg for space or permission. But the second the door clicks shut behind us, the facade cracks. My body collapses onto the bed in my wedding dress. Sobs tear out from somewhere deep, old, and bruised. Troy doesn't try to stop them. He kneels beside the bed in his expensive suit, takes my hand, and holds it against his heart. "You're safe," he whispers. "You did the right thing." "I feel like I lost everything," I choke out. "You lost the illusion," he says. "Not the truth." That night, as the adrenaline leaves my body, exhaustion settles in its place. I change, crawl under the covers, and drift into sleep with Troy's arms around me, solid, warm, and grounding. When morning light fills the room, I finally feel ready to look at my phone. Hours of messages appear instantly, like a flood, finally freed. Voicemails from Mom, furious and trembling. Texts from Maren, "You humiliated me." Other relatives piling on. "How could you treat family like this?" A few cousins. "Your mom says you had a breakdown." The accusations feel distant, like echoes from a life I've left behind. "Do you want to say anything?" Troy asks gently. "Yes," I say unexpectedly. "Just once." I type slowly, carefully. "We need space. Your actions at our wedding were unacceptable. When you are ready to acknowledge the harm and offer a sincere apology, we can talk. Until then, do not contact us." Troy reads over my shoulder and nods. Perfect. I hit send. Then I turn off my phone completely. "We could start our honeymoon early," Troy suggests with a small smile. "First flight out tomorrow. Anywhere you want." "Anywhere," I echo, letting the words settle into my bones. We pack lightly, laugh at how impulsive it feels, fall asleep tangled together with the kind of peace that has nothing to do with geography and everything to do with freedom. 6 months later, on a quiet Sunday afternoon, I'm sitting cross-legged on our living room sofa, the glow of late sunlight spilling over the carpet. European honeymoon photos hang on the wall. Me and Troy under the Eiffel Tower, laughing on a gondola in Venice, holding hands on a cliff in Santorini. Not one of those photos includes my mother, my father, my sister. And yet, my world feels fuller than it ever did. Troy emerges from the kitchen with 2 mugs of coffee. "Working?" "Finished," I say, closing my laptop. Therapy has changed everything. My therapist gave me words I never had before: scapegoating, triangulation, enmeshment. She explained why I mistook their neglect for normal family dynamics, why I learned to shrink myself, why guilt felt like gravity. A small ping from my laptop draws my attention. An email. From Dad. Subject: "Hope you're doing well." The message is short, polite, distant. He mentions Mom, won't discuss what happened. He doesn't apologize. He doesn't acknowledge anything. He simply writes as though he's reaching out to an acquaintance after a minor disagreement. Troy reads it over my shoulder. "Do you want to respond?" I think about it. I wait for the familiar guilt to rise, but it doesn't. There's only clarity. "Not yet," I say. "Not without accountability." A half hour later, June arrives for dinner with a dish covered in a cloth and a bottle of wine dangling precariously from her fingers. "Okay, don't panic," she says, already pouring herself a glass. "But Maren's engaged." The words hang in the air. 6 months ago, they would have felt like a threat. Now, they feel like information. "I wish her happiness," I say quietly, "but I can't be part of her life. Not like this." Troy studies me closely, searching my face for cracks. "Are you sure you're okay?" I surprise myself with the truth. I am. The doorbell rings again. Troy answers and returns with a small package. Inside is a silver-framed photograph from Uncle Mateo the moment he walked me down the aisle, both of us smiling through tears. A handwritten note. "The day I gained a daughter. Family is what we make it. Mateo." My eyes blur, not with grief, something softer, freer. I place the photo on the mantel and rearrange the others to make room. Another ring of my phone. Dad again. This time, I answer. "Hello," I say calmly. "Sophia," his voice wavers. "Your mother wants to know if you'll attend Maren's wedding." The question lands like a test, a mirror held up to who I used to be. I inhale slowly. "Has anything changed, Dad? Has anyone acknowledged what happened at mine?" A long, painful pause. Then, the same old line. It was just a misunderstanding. And with that, the answer becomes simple. Then no, I say. I wish them well, but the answer is no. I hang up before he can reply. Troy steps behind me, wraps his arms around my waist. You didn't shake, he murmurs. Not even once. I don't feel guilty anymore, I say, almost in disbelief. That's new. Later that evening, our home fills with warmth and laughter. June, Caleb, and Mateo sit around our table, passing dishes, sharing stories. Someone makes a joke that sends us into a fit of laughter so loud the neighbors might complain. It feels like family, not by blood, but by choice. As the night winds down, Mateo lifts his glass for a toast. To chosen family, he says, and to peace that is earned the hard way. I raise mine too, and to building a life so full of love that the past can't touch it. When everyone leaves, Troy and I slow dance in the living room with no music playing, just the steady rhythm of two people who fought to build something safe. Sometimes a whisper of sadness still drifts in, the ghost of the family I once wished for. I lay my head on Troy's chest and say softly, sometimes I miss who I hoped they would be. That's because you have a good heart, he says, kissing my hair. But you didn't lose anything today. You gained something true. I look up at him, at the home we've made, at the peace blooming where chaos once lived. I wouldn't trade this life, I whisper. Not for anything. And for the first time, I believe it fully.